everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while, but I just wanted to do a bit of a sit down video today and talk a little bit about my minimalist journey and everything along the way, how I started, some tips, some things to keep in mind, and like what I've learned as well along the way, and how my life is now impacted from a minimalist journey. But the backdrop is very different today. I'm actually staying at my parents' house for a bit, so that is why, and also there is a road outside, so it might sound a little bit loud. I'm hoping it's not going to be too loud, but apologies if it's slightly louder than normal. I've got my notes on a bit of paper, so I'm hoping I can get everything in that I want to talk about, because I think this is such a wide topic and there's so much to cover, but maybe I'll just do 2 separate videos or something like that, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so my minimalist journey started probably about 4-ish years ago. I was working in retail at the time, and I had just got a full-time job and I had so much disposable income. I was still living at home, and a lot of my money went on material things, and especially working in retail, you're constantly around it, you get discounts, etc., and I just found myself spiraling into this real materialistic hole that I didn't want to be in. It wasn't making me happy at all, and a lot of it was just instant gratification. Looking back now, I can see that, because I wasn't very happy where I was in my life. I didn't have much career aspiration or any specific passions. I didn't really know who I was as a person. I was sort of in that teenage / adult time of my life, so I think there's a lot of emotions that can go around, and some of them can be quite negative. I was dealing with anxiety, but at that time I didn't know that I had this sort of shopping, it wasn't really an addiction, but it definitely was trying to numb myself in a certain way, and trying to almost fit in and be someone that I wasn't. I think that was such a big part of it as well. Reach this aspiration of looking a certain way, which wasn't healthy, it wasn't good for my mental health. It was a bit of a cycle. I had like this cycle happening. Anyway, so I didn't really realise I had this sort of issue until I watched this documentary on Netflix called Minimalism. I'm sure some of you have seen it. It's a great documentary, and it did open my eyes up to sort of the materialistic world we live in, and it really just hit something inside of me, and I was like, I don't want to be this person. I want to enjoy my life, have less stress, and not spend money on material items like I was. And also another thing that came up for me is that I started to discover how bad the fast fashion industry was for the environment, and for people in third world countries and things like that, and it really did not sit well with me. And at the time I was working in one of the shops that definitely was a fast fashion shop and company, and I just felt really almost responsible and saddened by this, and I just didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So that is one of the 2 main reasons I decided to become a minimalist, or start my minimalist journey. And it's been a long journey. Like, I wouldn't say it was easy. It definitely wasn't an easy thing to do. Not a lot of people really understood what minimalism was, so it was hard to sort of have those connections with people, and it can be quite isolating, I think. You know, you're so used to living a certain lifestyle for so long, and then you want to change it. It's not easy, and you have to unlearn a lot of habits that you have gotten into. And so I wanted to just move on to the first point, which was that it's a constant process. And you know, we see these picture perfect images of a minimalist home or a minimalist wardrobe, and we think, oh, how lovely is that? It's so tidy, it's less stressful, and it's just not that way. Like, you don't just declutter once and then everything's fine, you're a minimalist. Like, it is a lot of effort. Decluttering takes a long time. It might mean that you have to declutter you know, quite a lot during the first few months and then revisit every year. And it's really not as simple as just decluttering your house and Marie Kondoing your wardrobe. You have to keep on going. It is a constant process if you want to keep up this lifestyle. Also, it's quite mentally draining when it comes to trying to prevent yourself from impulse buying or fast fashion shopping, because like I said before, you're so used to being in a certain way, having certain habits, and you literally have to unlearn things. And it can be difficult because we're surrounded by so much marketing, social media, people wearing certain clothes and trends, and you know, the way that marketing targets you, it makes things really difficult not to go out and buy that product. You want to almost have these items to feel adequate. To begin with, it is quite difficult, and you do really have to train yourself and be strict with yourself. The second point I wanted to talk about was toxic minimalism. So I think when I became a minimalist, sort of a year in, a lot of people were doing it as well, and it became this very like Scandinavian look, and people that had really tiny wardrobes and had like got rid of all their furniture and their televisions and things like this. And I think it can get to the point where it can be quite toxic, because it can become quite an addictive trait in your personality, and you just want to constantly get rid of things and get rid of things to reach a certain goal. But realistically, that is not the case, and I think minimalism is definitely different for everyone. You can't have a wardrobe with t-shirts and shorts and have, you know, this very small Scandinavian wardrobe if you live in maybe a country that requires you to wear warmer clothes or has all different seasons. And that's something that I had to really think about as someone living in the UK, because I couldn't have this really light, simple wardrobe just for summer, like a lot of minimalist wardrobes are. You go on Pinterest and that's all you see, and it makes you feel bad, and it makes you feel like you're not doing this properly, maybe that you're a bit of a hypocrite because you have a larger wardrobe. But it's really not about that. If you love and cherish every item in your wardrobe and you wear it, then there's no issue with that. It just looks different, and it looks different for everyone. It's like comparing someone that lives alone in a one-bedroom apartment or flat to a family of minimalists that have 3 children and, you know, have a larger home. You can't compare both because they're 2 different situations, and everyone has so many different walks of life. You might really love books, so you might have a whole library of books in your house, but there is no problem with that. If those books, you cherish them, you read them, and they are a part of who you are, then you don't need to let them go. You really do not have to follow a certain way of life. It really does depend on your own lifestyle. And I think going into minimalism, I wish I had thought about this and really started to think about things that I care about, because there are so many things I decided to get rid of to follow this minimalist aesthetic, and I missed those items, and I was quite sad for a little while because I had gotten rid of all of the things that I really loved and cherished. And yeah, that's just something I would suggest thinking about before going into this sort of lifestyle and going straight into like decluttering your home. Another thing I've learnt is that it really is a way of life. As soon as you start to declutter your home and really think about what you bring into your home and what you do with your time, you immediately start to slow down. And this is when I discovered slow living, which I am a huge advocate for. I love slow living. When you adopt a minimalist lifestyle, you do tend to just slow down and become more present in the moment. You're much less stressed with all the items you have in your house, and things become a lot simpler. And I think that's one of the best lessons I've learned from my journey. And I really do appreciate that I found this way of life, because I definitely had a lot of anxiety and stress in my life, and removing items that didn't no longer didn't serve me anymore or reminded me of maybe times of my life where I wasn't happy, really helped me sort of move on and discover myself properly, discover who I was and how I could manage my anxiety and stress. Another lesson I learned was how to care for the environment a lot more, and like I said before, becoming a minimalist was one of the main reasons was because I wanted to lower my environmental impact. And I really sort of switched my perspective on things and started to care so much more about the world we live in, the environment and climate change. And I am really proud and pleased of myself for carrying on with this lifestyle and really thinking about my impact, because it's quite terribly sad what is happening to the planet, and we really do need to slow down with consumerism. I do work in the environmental sector, and one of the main facts is that we do really need to stop consuming so much. That is one of the reasons we are dealing with a major climate crisis, is consumption, and things like fast fashion or transporting items and waste. So that is something you start to learn as well when you adopt this lifestyle, because a lot of the people on the journey with you we'll talk about this, and it's highly important. So I always do say to people, if you want to be more sustainable in your lifestyle, then try and adopt a more minimalist outlook on life and think about what you're consuming and the actual domino effect of you buying that item. And it really does make you second guess what you're buying and think twice before you bring that item into your life or you purchase that item from whatever company. Some tips I have for people thinking about maybe starting this lifestyle is number one, to just do it slowly. Don't expect a change overnight. I think us as humans, we're pretty impatient and we want instant gratification, but if you want to do minimalism sustainably and you want to keep it as a lifestyle, it's important to do it slowly, because you learn what works for you and how you can maintain this lifestyle in the long run. So don't expect just one declutter will change things for you, because it's a lot of unlearning habits and relearning new habits as well. Number two is try and avoid toxic minimalism on social media and in marketing and things like that, because I think that is one problem we have when it comes to minimalism, is you may think you can just throw everything out, but if it's not the way you want it to be, or if it doesn't look a certain way, we often go and repurchase items, and that completely counteracts the point of what you're doing. So try and avoid that, because it's not the truth, it's not real life, and like I said, you really do have to do this thing in line with who you are and what works for you in order to maintain this lifestyle for the long run. Another tip I have is don't let others' opinions stop you from adopting a more minimalist lifestyle. I know a lot of people probably won't understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, why you're throwing all these things out, etc. But it really is not up to them what sort of life you want to lead. And I think the most important thing is to stay connected with people who do. There are many great people you can follow, which I'll put down below, some great podcasts, some great resources for you to try and stay connected with those people, because it can be an isolating space. So it's important to have that sort of support, and you can get quite a few tips from these people as well on how to manage this lifestyle. And another point, sort of going off that point, is don't force it onto others. And I think when I discovered minimalism, I was like, this is amazing, oh my gosh, everyone should be doing this. But to be honest, it doesn't work for everyone, and those that might adopt it in the future need to do it in their own time. You can't be forced by anyone, and I think that's why often people end up going back to not living a minimalist lifestyle, is the sort of pressure on doing this perfectly. So just let people do it in their own time. Do you talk about it? Do you communicate to people about it? Because it is a great lifestyle to lead, and if you feel like someone might benefit from this sort of lifestyle, great, talk to them about it, but don't force it onto them, because it can be quite overwhelming, and I know that from experience. So my last tip would be, no one is perfect. You will probably still impulse buy here and there, but don't put that sort of pressure on yourself. It's not fair, and it's just one of those impossible goals to look up to, because perfection is just, it's a myth, especially in the minimalist world. And you know, things, you will slip up, but that's okay, as long as you're kind to yourself and you learn from maybe those situations, then you move forward, and you're less likely to make those mistakes in the future. So just don't put that pressure on yourself, because it can already be quite an overwhelming lifestyle at the beginning. Just be kind to yourself, and just recognise that you're doing something so much better for the planet and for yourself, and just try and move forward where you can. I'm going to finish this video off here. I think it's going to be quite a long one, so I'm going to just stop that here. But if you do have any questions, please pop them down below, or you can message me on Instagram, and if another video is needed, maybe I'll do one with some questions. But I'm really pleased you found this video, and I hope it's helped you with understanding minimalism. Maybe if you're thinking about adapting a more minimalist lifestyle, that's amazing. Like I said, I'll put some links below to maybe help you further. But thanks so much for watching, and yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll catch you guys all again soon.